On this channel, we talk an awful lot about ways that you can trim your budget. But tonight, we're going to share 4 things that we think you should never cut from your budget. Hi, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
From Under the Median. Welcome to Frugal Friday Tips, where every Friday we share quick and easy ways that you can spend less and save more. Now, for those of you who are regular viewers and you're looking behind us, we do not want you to freak out. Larry's going to explain.
Well, we're in the process of changing our set. So what we've done is we've just kind of moved over about 45 degrees to another wall in our basement. And we're definitely going to do some work back here so it's not real plain. In the meantime, enjoy our coffee pot.
One of the viewers, a faithful viewer, asked, could you put an antique coffee pot in the background? So here you go. Antique coffee pot in the background. This is like our temporary shelf, you guys. We're going to paint the wall, put some floating shelves up. It's going to be great. And yes, for those of you who are wondering, we are still going to be changing one thing in the background every single video. So you're still going to be able to look for those changes. But for a little while, it's going to look a little temporary.
Yeah, I think that's an old percolator from about 1950. It's a Miro Magic. Awesome.
There you go.
Estate sale find.
So it's even frugal. Of course it is. Of course it is.
It has to be.
All right. So we are talking about things you should never cut from your budget. Now, it is laudable for those of you who are going for those great big goals and you're thinking, I got to cut some things from my budget, and you should. We've done it a bajillion times in 33 years of marriage. We have sliced and diced that budget a million ways. But there are 4 things that even if you really, really feel like you need to save some money, we think these 4 things, don't cut them. All right, you ready? First thing on the list is?
I think this is going to be an obvious one. Insurance.
Now, truth be told, there was a time early in our married life when we had no health insurance. None. Not a smart thing to do, but did we do it? Yep, we did it. And we were very, very lucky that nothing happened that forced us into bankruptcy because we had no insurance. So please make sure that you have insurance. Now, here's another kind of insurance. Home insurance. You have to have home insurance, but what if you're renting? Do they need renter's insurance?
We've always had rental insurance because anything can happen. You've seen the videos where apartments have caught on fire or been destroyed by tornadoes or flooding, and anything, can happen to your possessions. You don't want to just lose all those things and suffer that kind of a loss. So yeah, that's very important. I want to back up just a minute on the health insurance. Our jobs, as I recall, didn't offer it at the time. I think maybe you had some insurance on your job, but mine didn't. So we kind of waited until I got a job. It wasn't too long. It was only about a year into our marriage that I got a job where it was offered. So, and the other thing is, doctor's appointments back when we were married were pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they were $40, $50. Yeah. So it really wasn't that difficult. And, we were young and healthy, so it wasn't as much of a priority as it is now.
Now back to the rental insurance just a sec. We actually had a very, very destructive F4 tornado hit a town. It wasn't our town. It was a town about 10, 15 miles from us, Sunday morning, and it whipped through that town. And there was an article in the paper the next day. There was an apartment complex. The whole top floor of it was gone. And there were renters that were very, very sad indeed that all of their belongings were gone and they had no renter's insurance. So make sure that if you're renting, you've got renter's insurance. Now, car insurance, sad but true story. Our son was just hit by a lady who had no car insurance. So people drive around all day long with no car insurance. So you know what you have to have? You have to have car insurance, and you have to make sure that that car insurance policy will pay in the event that you are hit by an uninsured driver. Our son's insurance policy had uninsured driver on it. Now all of his repairs are being paid for, but had he not had that on the policy, he would have been a very sad young man indeed. So just to save yourself grief, even if you have a car that is paid for, his is paid for. He paid cash for it years ago. Even if your car is paid for, you really need to make sure that that policy includes uninsured drivers.
I think in most states it's mandatory. Now, it is in Illinois, but that doesn't mean that everybody has insurance. So what some people do is they'll take out a policy, get the card, put it in their glove compartment, and then cancel the insurance so they can show the police officer that, well, we've got insurance. So there's all kinds of ways that people try to get around this. Make sure that you're covered.
The next thing, the second thing they should never, ever cut from their budget is...
Once again, I would think this would be obvious. You do not want to cut your emergency fund.
If you need to dip into your emergency fund, do it and then build that emergency fund back up. Now, if you're watching and you don't have an emergency fund, we just did a video on this just a couple of weeks ago, and we gave you 5 ways that you can save an emergency fund and pay for it fast. So I'm going to make sure that I leave a link to that in the description of this video so you can watch that video when you're done with this one. So Larry, why is an emergency fund? First, tell us how much they should have in their beginner emergency fund and ultimately how much they should have into a fully funded emergency fund.
Well, I think the minimal amount should be $2,000. With the price of things today, that really doesn't cover a great deal, but it does give you a buffer. And I see an emergency fund like a safety net. A good high wire act will, even if they're seasoned, they'll put a safety net underneath because they can always fall. And an emergency fund is for unknown and unexpected expenses. So you want to have some coverage. And that way, when something happens, and it will happen, you'll be covered by it.
I actually really like that analogy. So think of that. When you think of emergency fund, I want you to think of the fact that it's your safety net. So don't get on the high wire finances without the safety net underneath of you, which is your emergency fund. I like that. That was very good, Larry.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so don't cut your emergency fund. The third thing that they should not cut from their budget is...
You don't want to cut your debt repayment.
Look, if you don't pay on your debts, it's going to get worse. You have to have in your budget at least the minimum debt repayments on all of your debts. Whatever that minimum amount is, you have to keep that intact. So we would tell you, put those minimum amounts down in your budget, and then anything that you can come up with that is extra, put that amount toward the debt that you want to pay off first. Now, which debt should that be? Well, we got to be honest with you. That's up to you. There are those who are proponents of the debt snowball method, where you pay off the lowest debt first and then you keep going until you pay off each debt that you owe more on. So you're working your way down and picking up momentum as you go down your list. And there are those that say, nope, you should pay off the one that with the highest interest rate first. Here's the truth. We don't care which one you pay off first, as long as you're paying them off, okay? Both methods work. Which one are we fans of? To be honest with you, we like debt snowball better than debt avalanche, because we like to see people get some quick, easy wins in order to encourage them. So we would tell you pay off the lowest debt first and work your way to the highest. But if you want to pay off the one first that has the highest interest rate on it, go for it. Just have a plan, work that plan, and keep up that plan, and don't quit that plan. So don't take debt repayment out of your budget.
I think it makes sense to pay off the lower amounts first, especially if you have a lot of them. So if you start paying those off, then you're reducing the number of places that you're sending checks to or having to make a payment to, and then it gets down to your simple, larger debts. And probably your house debt will be the last one you'll have to work on, cars and then your house. So yeah, it's a real good idea to not stop making those payments.
The next thing that we think you should not cut from your budget is
Healthy food. Yeah.
okay. Now, I think it's clear that should you wish to sustain life, you can't cut food from your budget completely, right? But we're talking healthy food. Now, what's that definition? That varies for everybody. You guys know that we're vegans. So we have a very specific idea in mind of what healthy food is compiled of. Here's why we tell you this. Because when we were first married, how did we eat, Larry?
Not good.
Yeah, he puts it so mildly. Guys, I would be like, so I would come up with all these adjectives that describe how incredibly poorly we ate when we were first married.
How about this adjective? Pepsi, potato chips, snack foods, all kinds of junk food.
Processed food,
Yeah.
junk food. Okay, yeah.
Foods with names you can't pronounce in the ingredients.
That's right. Okay, you did a great job of describing our beginning diet to them. That's how we ate. Now, did we spend a lot of money at the grocery store? No. But were we eating well?
Oh no! But I think you spend more money on those kind of foods than you do on healthy eating. Because when you're buying healthy foods, for one, it's a much simpler diet, and you're buying fresh fruits and vegetables and simple one ingredient foods. They are cheaper to buy, and they're much better for you. So, yeah, don't cut healthy food.
Now, if you want to know ways that you actually can eat real healthy food and do it on a budget, you know that we never leave you without the opportunity to learn more about what we're talking about. So I have a free resource. It's a free ebook. There is a link in the description of this video, and it is 10 ways you can drop your grocery budget like a rock. I've used all 10 of these methods through the past 25 plus years, and it really does help cut your grocery budget. When I started employing all 10 of these methods, we cut our grocery budget in half. So if you want to know more about how to eat healthy food and do it on a budget, there's a link to that free ebook in the description of this video. So to recap, Larry, very quickly, the 4 things we think they ought not to ever cut from their budget.
You don't want to cut your insurance. And by the way, I might add to that, we talked about car, home and rental and health, but there's also life insurance. And that becomes very important should you lose a loved one. And that's also another one of those unexpected things that could happen that you want to be covered for. The next item is your emergency fund. The third is debt repayment. And then the final category was healthy food.
All right, leave us some comments in the comments section. What did we miss? What are items in your budget that you were like, no, I think you missed this. You ought not cut this item from your budget. Tell us in the comments section of the video, and be sure to join us next week for the next edition of Frugal Friday Tips.
Hi, we're rolling.
We talk a lot on...
Sometimes.
Apparently I don't. But tonight, we're going to share with you 4 things you should never cut from your budget.
Like your air conditioning
Oh
unit.
no!